so we have only 10 people. I think it's only the main team. That's okay, right? Who've joined the actual meet. I think others are on YouTube.
Yeah, actually, ma'am, we did not share this on
we haven't shared.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just for the teaching team and the DFMs and.
Right.
Okay, sure. Then let's go ahead, Lucy.
Okay, all right. So welcome everyone to this live interaction. So it's all
4:38 now. What's this?
Okay, so it's happy. I think it's.
You're freezing a bit. Okay, let's try again.
I think there's some echo, so I'm going to switch off the video. Okay, so now I'm going to represent again. Okay. Okay, can you hear me now again?
Yes.
Okay, so welcome everyone to this live interaction. So happy to see you all and happy to see that you're being able to manage to join this interaction for our course on designing learner-centric e-learning and learner-centric MOOCs with our instructors. So this is our first live interaction where we all course participants and instructors get time to interact together. But again, we'll also have another live interaction that is going to happen on the 12th of February. And today we have two of our course instructors, Professor Sana Muti and Professor Gag Banerjee, who are actually going to lead our discussion. And therefore, we hope to get a lot of interactions with you, all participants. So as prior preparations, we have collected questions. In the first place, we shared a survey for the participants to be able to share their questions. And therefore, we have collected all the questions from the survey and then put them on a slide here. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to be presenting all the questions one by one, and then our instructors will be able to respond to each of the questions. So the questions come from the survey we shared, but at the same time, we also have questions from the discussion forum, which will also be able to get responses. But remember again, for those who are on YouTube Live, you can also be able to keep on sharing your questions in the discussion in the chat, YouTube chat, where we also have our discussion forum moderators who will be responding to all the questions that come from there. But at the same time, our instructors will also be able to have an eye there, who will be able to respond to questions as well. So I'm going to start presenting. I'm just going to start with the course overview, where we are and where we are moving. So the course started all the way from January 18, and it's a 4-week course. Week 1, we discussed about the overview of MOOCs and introduction to learner-centric MOOCs. And then we also had quizzes and other activities. So the quizzes are all up. So till now, the deadline is February 3rd for all the quizzes for week 1. So we urge you, all of you who have not been able to get enough time, to go and submit all the activities as planned. Now for week 2, we are now in week 2 discussing about creating LEDs and interactive videos. We also have quizzes and deadlines are approaching. So for week 2, AQ's and KQ's deadline is on February 3rd, and RQ's deadline is February 7th. And for week 3 will be released next Monday, so that will be February 1. And therefore, all the content and assignments and activities will be shared to you through an announcement as well. Yeah, so we have registrations of a lot of participants who are in the course. What is missing is that some of the participants have not been able to join the discussion forum. So we are trying now to send emails to the participants who registered so that they can be able to orient to the course and then be able to participate in the forum. So likewise, for those who are enrolled, some of them have been able to join the course, but they are not yet in the discussion forum. We are putting a lot of effort to make sure that they are also joining the discussion forum and therefore get to see the interactions and shares that happen among the participants. So we keep on encouraging everyone to be able to participate in the discussion forum, because there are a lot of things and a lot of learning that happens as the participants share about the experiences of the course in the MOOC platform as well. So yeah, so in the discussion forum, we also have discussion forum moderators. who are actually there to be able to help us keep the discussions running, at the same time, be able to respond to the questions that have come from the discussions. So make sure that you have your you have time to visit the discussion forum, but at the same time, be able to participate by responding to questions as well, or starting threads in respective discussion forum threads as well. So in the course, we have we have discussion forum moderators who are actually 12 in number. And then we also have PAs, myself, Jatin, and Gaurav, also helping in the orchestration of the course and course announcements and activities.
I'll just interrupt for 1 second, Lucian. This is for the audience who's joining from YouTube. All the 3 TAs, Lucian, Jatin, and Gaurav, are here today to also help answer the questions. And I also see 3 or 4 discussion forum moderators. So welcome to Sudarshan, Aparajita, Tejinder. And this course, you know, one of the key reasons why it is successful in terms of high participation and high activity is because of the presence of the discussion forum moderators and the TAs. So I just wanted to say thanks and welcome to the entire team. Back to you, Lucian.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So, okay, the discussion forum moderators have been selected based on the screening test that was sent to toppers of the previous batch. And therefore, this implies, therefore, that even you participants who are participating in this course right now, you might get a chance to be able to act as discussion forum moderators later on. So it all depends on how you're participating and how you're engaging in the discussions right now from the beginning. So we had 7 people who were selected as discussion forum moderators, and each moderator was assigned a day to answer queries. So in the discussion forum, the way you see the discussion learning, there are always people on the day, on that particular day, to be able to respond to queries that come from the members. And we have 4 discussion forum moderators from the area batch. And then we have also 2 experienced DFM from previous batches that are also helping us in the discussion, learning the discussions. Again, we have 1 coordinator, Ganesh, who is helping us to make sure that the discussions are running and assigning the activities to the discussion forum moderators. We also have daily meetings each day to be able to discuss on what is the trend of the discussions, what is missing, what you can be able to improve as we go forward as well. So this is a summary of week 2 discussion forum. We have currently 181 participants who are in the forum, and we have emails to send to all other participants who have not been able to join in the forum so that they can be able to come and join and learn from other members as well. And then for participants who are not able to join, those who registered or those who enrolled have also received emails, and therefore we are encouraging everyone to be able to participate and share as far as possible so that you can be able to learn from what others are sharing and their experiences as well. So participants are also replying to other participants' queries, and therefore we see discussions happening between participants and participants, peers and peers, at the same time responding to the threads started by the course instructors or the discussion forum moderators. Yeah, so these are some of the feedback that we receive from the discussion forum. For example, Imran Khan says, as I'm a new and first learning about MOOCs, so just wanted to share my experience that in the first week, I thought it is very practical and will not be in a position to understand and complete the course. But thanks to all the facilitators and discussion forum moderators, and this second week is on LEDs and reflection spot is amazing. Really, it brought my attention back to this course, and it helped me to think about the effective LEDs with reflection spots of my module. So we can see that there are some reflections from participants who are saying about how the course is running and how they are actually learning from the participation in the discussion forum. Another participant says, really the explanation of reflection spot by faculty has been fabulous. It has helped me in taking the lecture online. Even taking the lecture, I am able to pause and try to interact with the students through reflection spots, through asking the students some questions, taking opinions and animation clips. Thanks a lot for making me understand the concept, how a teacher can connect online with students with the help of reflection spots. So this is Chirag Patel, who reflects about the reflection spots and how he interacts with students by pausing and asking questions. So what we want to suggest is that participants should be able to write their names after a message. Whenever you post something in the discussion forum, we encourage you to be able to say your name so that we get to reflect. When you are responding, we need to respond by your name accordingly. So please, in most cases, when you write a forum or you respond to a post by someone, ensure that you have written your name so that it becomes much more easier when we are replying to a message. Again, please search for a similar query in the discussion forum to avoid scatter. So in this LCM, we try to make sure that we do not have a lot of scatter. We try to make sure that the forums, the threads are coming together. That's why we are creating some of the categories where learners and participants have to go to post on. We do not encourage much to allow everyone to be able to create threads, but what we do, we allow you to create threads under a certain discussion forum thread where we have all the discussions happening in one sequence. So as far as possible and as much as possible, ensure that you are creating a thread under a certain discussion forum thread that is normally set up for that particular week itself. So in week 1, you have thread for week 1, and week 2, we have a discussion thread for week 2. Likewise, for week 3 and week 4, we have the same pattern. So again, we encourage you to be able to participate by interacting with your peers in the discussion forum. So respond to questions, criticize, maybe put some additions, share your own experiences so that people can be able to learn from your own responses as well.
If I can just chime in here. There is a small concern by Mithun Ranjan Dey, who on the YouTube chat, who's a teacher from Tripura, saying that something was not visible on the slides. So we will be able to post these slides on, or send a link of these slides in the discussion forum later, right? We should be able to
do that.
We can do that. So you can just look at the slides later, and I believe that the YouTube recording will also be available later if you want to see it. If you want to try to see the writing, make it more visible right now, then Gaurav and Jatin have suggested some things on the chat, but for later download also, they'll be available. Back to you, Lucy.
All right. So, ma'am, some of the questions that came generally from the discussion forum. One of the questions was, what does it mean by learner-centricity in an e-learning course? So, is it providing transcripts to handle text-based learning style learner-centricity? Is it by providing detailed worked-out solutions in PDF learner-centric? Is making corrections in assignments based on learner feedback learner-centric? Or does learner-centricity happen when you have all the 4 elements in proportions? Maybe would you say, is there any proportion that is required?
Just to interrupt, is this MCQ to us from you or from the learners have given us this?
No, it's not from me, it's from JK. JK is the one who summarized it, and then I picked it from
but it's coming from the participants in the course. Am I correct?
Yeah.
It's synthesis.
It's coming from the, yes.
Because the instructors of the course were actually thinking of this as an interesting formative assessment question, if you may. Okay, and we'll both take our own shot at trying to address this, and the other instructors can also. Samir has also joined, JK has also joined, so we can take a crack at this.
Right.
Yeah, to start off, I think your many of the bullet points, like providing text, providing transcripts, is important, but it's not the end all. You need to have other features, pedagogical features also built into the learning design. Similarly, for many of providing PDF, the option B, important. Your feedback to the assignments, of course, has to be constructive, which you must be having already experiencing in LCM. And the D part is, does learner centricity happen when you have all the 4 elements in equal proportions? You want to take that?
Okay, so I'm going to try to give a different answer. A, B, C are all necessary but not sufficient. Okay, the reason is, when I think of the concept of learner-centric, it's like really the learner is there and is doing something. Of course, the instructional team has to support the learner, has to make sure it's inclusive and different diverse types of learners are addressed. But at the end, the instructional team also has to think of how best can I facilitate the learner to learn on their own. I know the word learn has come too many times, but if the learner is at the center, they have to really be doing something. So adding a lot of support, for example, the LBDs that you will see in the next week, or the reflection spots, for example, where the learner has to pause and do something. That's absolutely crucial when you design materials which are learner-centric. If JK and Samir want to add, you're welcome.
Yeah, I would like to take a shot. In fact, I'm traveling in a remote part of Assam right now, but I am so happy to be connected here. So the answer, I would like to take it from a different perspective. First thing I want to say is that learner centricity is definitely about addressing the diversity of learning styles. So definitely, if people are, there are people who would learn more using the transcripts, yes, providing transcripts will be useful. If people are more useful in studying the work solutions, yes. So when it comes to diversity, if you can assess what type of learners do you have in the course, then you can take a call on that. I don't think so it is mandatory to have all these things and only then it will be called learner-centric. There could be a batch of people who don't really rely on transcripts. In that case, that will not be useful. Another point is that transcripts, very well created transcripts of long 1 hour lecture will still not be learner-centric, however good the transcript is, because it will be too large for anybody to assimilate. So I think it is a combination, but I really congratulate the person who has asked this question, by the way.
Thanks, Samir.
All right. JK, would you like to add something?
Yeah, part of that congratulation goes to me, I guess, because this I have extended based on several of the. So yeah, the congratulation goes to the entire group of learners who have joined the course, because these are bits and pieces that I have synthesized based on their responses. So the question really, I think I will agree with. I will agree with Samir to a great extent, because yes, each of it is necessary, and I would also agree to Sana in saying that it may not be the equal proportion that we are looking at over here, but having all these formal elements is necessary. Then you can there is enough scope for addressing the diversity. Whatever be the interest. So I think the simplest thing that I would put out to learners is there should be something that the learner is able to take away even from the smallest element of that course or whatever they are learning. I mean, whether they come here for 3 minutes, whether they come here even in this session for, let's say, 1 minute, there should be something tangible to take away from the course at that point, and then yes, we have made it learner centric. So it is slightly what do you say? I will say it is slightly on the very abstract sense of it, but yeah, this is how I would define learner centricity. Sana, any?
Yeah, let me just try to summarize, based on what all of us have said, and I'm going to take off on the last word that JK said. You said you used the word abstract. So all of us, I think the idea of being learner-centric, it's a principle. It's not a formula like 0.35 times A plus 0.7 times B plus 0.01 times C. It's not a formula like that. And it's not a regression equation that you can fit. But think of it as a principle, a design principle. So the moment you think of principle, it is abstract to begin with. It needs to fulfill a certain goal. And here the goal is that we, instead of thinking about how do I best deliver the content, instead of that question, we reverse it. And as a teacher, we ask, how can this learner, how can the student learn best? How can I provide the best opportunities for all the learners in my MOOC or in my class? So think of it as a principle rather than an algorithm or an equation.
All right. Thank you so much. I think.
Okay. But this is an interesting question. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. So another interesting question was from the discussion forum was that what is the difference between a MOOC and an online class or online course? And are they the same or are they different? Can they be used interchangeably? But again, one interesting thing is that from the survey we shared, there was one question that came asking, is it possible to create an online course using MOOCs? So it looks like there is a confusion somewhere where there is no boundary or mark that shows where is a MOOC ending and where is an online course ending. Could you be able to share some light on the differences or the similarities?
Okay, so if I go first, first point is that MOOC is very large scale, and the learner diversity is much more than in an online class, where in an online class there would be a group of learners who might be known to each other. For example, right now in this live session, you have participants from South Korea also. So in an online class, it will be a group of students. So that boundary will be there. In which case your forum participation, your LXTs might be different because you're catering to this particular audience. Whereas in a MOOC, because it's very diverse, you'll have to, like you are now experiencing, every week you are given multiple, your learning extension trajectories are given on which you are giving assimilation quizzes. And for the second question, my take is, of course, LCM. I'm interpreting this question to mean that can I apply LCM course into the current online classes that are going on? So definitely it's a big yes. And we are currently doing that also with some of the people in the L&D sector, in the e-learning industry, where we are applying the LCM principles for their online courses for their employees. Yeah, but I would like to...
No, I think Gargi's covered it all. So a quick way to understand is just look at the acronym, okay? You have OC, the online class, and now you have MO in front of OC. The first M is massive, the second is open. So your online class that you might have designed due to the pandemic for your own students differs in the openness, in the sense it's not open to the entire world, but it's constrained, it's scoped to your class, your students. And the M is, the scale goes with the scaling. So Gargi explained very nicely about the implications of both the massiveness and the openness in MOOCs. But completely agree that LCM is extremely relevant and applicable. And in fact, you should use it to design when you're designing your online courses. You might find that certain things are in fact easier. Certain aspects of the LCM model are easier to apply in your own online course because you will know most of the learners. There will be diversity, but it won't be as much as in the massive open setting. Yeah.
Right.
Let's take the last one. Is it possible to create an online? So see, this is maybe, the actual, what we need to discuss a bit for this last question is that there are some providers worldwide, a few of them, as in it might be like 15 or 10, and some of the common ones are Swayam, edX, Coursera. So these providers actually have all the infrastructure and the facilities to for instructors to deliver massive and open online courses. But if you just want to create an online course for your own students, it's not, you don't have to go like that. You don't have to go massive and then keep it only for your own students. And that's not even, it's not desirable and may not even be possible. So how do you do your own online course? If you want to interpret it, if that's the actual question, how do I want to create an online course? What do I do? I think here we could post some resources, or we could say a few now, but I'm not sure how useful that will be. Yeah. JK, you want to add anything here on how do you create your own online course for your own class without going through the MOOCs route?
Yeah, so I think it is.
Sorry, I will butt in.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I can immediately point them to the expression of interest that is prevailing right now for Swayam.
Okay, looks like Samir's connection is gone, but let me complete that whatever he started off. So there is an expression of interest that has been put up by Swayam. Basically the CEC, the Consortium of Education Communication, and several other UGC and several other national coordinators, there is a website in InflipNet where these expression of interest application is there. If you want to create a massive open online course, then this is the place that you have to go. Just search for expression of interest Swayam, then you will get in Google and you will get this website. The other thing is, what I would recommend is there are a lot of these providers who provide trial, something like a trial space. So for example, if you look at Moodle Cloud, this is actually of the learning management system Moodle. They provide a limited amount of space for you to create free Moodle courses. Similarly, Canvas also has something similar. Like that, each of the major providers do have something where you can do a trial, you can get people on and do some classes like that. That would be something that I would recommend people to experiment. There are enough platforms available where you could do this. Just give it a shot in one platform. But yeah, the major point is to make it more learner centric. Focus on the design part of it, where you put in the appropriate amount of effort to ensure that everyone gets that learning out of it. Yeah, Samir, I think
Samir is back. Yeah, Samir, go ahead.
Yeah, I was saying about the same thing that CEC has put up a expression of interest on their website, and that would be open. In fact, new domains have been added apart from humanities and arts. Now it is also open for 5 courses in science. Yes. So it's a large school now, what is kind of invited.
So thanks for this resource.
No, I just wanted to point out there's a question from Kumari Rupam asking what is the difference between e-learning and LCM?
Let's just close this one thing. I have one more resource to share. This is not for the MOOCs. So the resource that Samir and JK pointed out are actually very useful. But if you just want to, try something for your own course, what we did in our department last May when the pandemic hit and everybody had to create their own online course was just put together a set of resources which include the pedagogical design and the LCM model, but also a set of tools for creation, tools for editing, tools for hosting, tools for discussion forum. So I request Gaurav to actually put the link for the OTeach course. He'll put it on the YouTube chat. Just take a look. It has, not now, afterwards, it has elements of LCM, not as detailed as you are doing in this Swayam course, but a shortened version, but as well as a whole list of tools which were current as of May. Things change a lot, and that's something you can use.
Yeah, I think Jatin is answering to that question, but if you ask what is e-learning and LCM, I would say a set of learning design guidelines which instructors can use to design an e-learning course. So
e-learning is a very broad term.
Yeah.
And
Right. So all right, so I think that was a rich discussion. Let's now move on to the next part. So now we are going to discuss straight away the questions that came from the shared survey. So this was a survey that was sent to all the participants, and then they have been able to write up their questions, and we have been able to summarize them here. So the first question is, so thank you for the opportunity, but my question is, can I create a course in Tamil in MOOC Learning Center? So maybe you can be able to give the outlines and maybe guidelines on how to create a course in MOOC in Tamil.
Actually, I think it's better if Samir or JK take this, the UGC, the CEC thing that you mentioned. Is it necessary to be in Hindi or are other languages also okay?
Yeah, so I think I will take the first and third question because it is related. One is maybe in contextualization, and another is what to do in terms of a private college faculty. I think to answer this, there is an open invite that is there currently. You can put up your proposal, but do understand that whenever you are putting a course in Tamil, it is very limited to the audience. So that you have to keep in mind. And in your expression of interest, you have to clearly put out the objectives that this course is primarily meant for learners from this particular language who would want to take this course in some form. If you say the rationale and justify the rationale, I think that is one way to go. as an open course, you can anyway create a Tamil course also, that nobody stops you. But if you're coming through the official channels, there are certain ways, steps that has to be done. The same goes for the faculty from private college. At this moment, yes, we do give the request, I mean, entertain requests. But what would be good is if you have a co-instructor from a state or central university. If you can find a faculty who is taking the same subject or is interested in offering the same subject, both of you could be co-instructors. So for example, in this course itself, we have 4 instructors, and all 4 of us are in different I mean, yeah, 2 of them are at IIT Bombay, but me and Dr. Samir are physically also in different institutions. So this collaboration is something that is very much welcome in Swayam. So if you are planning to apply for a MOOC in Swayam, then this is the way to go. Yeah, over to you, Chana.
Sure. So we'll handle the second question from here. We'll address that. So it says in the postgraduate physics teaching, breaking a MOOC into 5 to 7 minute lectures is not feasible, and the MOOCs of NPTEL have at least 30 minutes. Okay. So let's actually take this into 3 sections. Firstly, instead of thinking of it as a 5-minute lecture, okay, I understand if you think of it as a 5-minute lecture, it gets very daunting, especially as instructors. Just imagine yourself in the classroom. Okay, so I've also taught physics, UG, PG, and all that. And recently we did a course, we did a workshop for ICER Pune faculty, where there were a lot of senior physics faculty. And what we said is, okay, in the classroom, when we're teaching some concepts, let's say it's quantum mechanics 1, for example, or electromagnetism, then when is it, suppose I start a concept. At some point, I'll finish explaining the main concept, and I might talk about an example. That's one break point. We call it pause points, actually. Another example is I might explain a principle. For example, I might draw some diagrams for Faraday's law and write down the equation, and now I have to go into details of the derivation. So I'm going from a broad explanation to detailed derivation. That's another pause point. Third example might be when you might just want to ask the students, give me an example from your lives where you have seen, where you have encountered flux, something. So think of all the times in the class where maybe you even just pause to take a breath and sort of, think of what comes next. So our 45-minute or 1-hour class actually has these segments. Now, what we recommend in the learner-centric MOOC model is that if you go for 30 minutes straight, of course they exist, okay, such videos exist, but there is a lot of data that shows that after a certain time, learner attention drops. And you'd be very surprised to know when it starts dropping. I saw some data from edX and some other places. It's actually of the order of 3 minutes. It doesn't mean that our video should be 90 seconds long. That's it. But learner attention starts dropping very, very early on, and it drops very precipitously. So the LCM model recommends that you keep one concept in a particular learning dialogue. And there are guidelines, which you would have seen, on how to break up your topic into small chunks. And, I'm going out of the frame. Okay. Is this okay now?
Yes.
I'll stick like. And think of it in terms of those chunks. Now, if you can't do 5 minutes, okay, see if you can do 8 minutes. If you can't do 8 minutes, see if you can do 9.5 minutes. But think of it in terms of a single concept, single example, chunk, and then put them all together using, interleave them with activities, rather than thinking of it as a 30-minute lecture. Okay, that was a long answer, but it had many points. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think we have covered all the questions on that point. Let's move to the next slide. And here we have 3 more questions. And one of the first question is about cost. So NPTEL Swayam course is free or cost. How students get free certificates? How do students get free certificates upon completion? So Maybe you can highlight
This is
on
all
how.
yours.
Yeah, so see, it is not the certificate is not free. The examination you are being charged 1,000 rupees. So and see, one more thing that you have to understand is this entire course creation by NPTEL or any of the other national coordinator is funded by Government of India. So under the Swayam project. So it is yeah, in one way, all Indians are paying for the course creation in some way. Through the taxes that we pay. So it is not absolutely free if you look at it.
It's a
But
public
yeah,
good.
yes, it is. It is rather. It is a very public. I mean, it's a service that is being provided for a larger access. So a major thing that government is looking at is through these kind of mechanisms, the gross enrollment ratio can be significantly increased or up to 30 to 35%. That is what the goal is by 2025. So that is why there are a lot of these efforts, and that is how we are able to I mean, because of this mandate, we are able to provide access to quality education almost at free cost.
All right, thank you, JK. So that reminds me of two scenarios. One of the scenarios we had participants who came from Tanzania, and then they participated in some of the courses we were learning last learn, and they completed up the courses, and they thought of getting certificates. In the end, what they suggested was to be able to see whether we could be able to get testing centers outside India so that these people can also be able to participate to get certificates of completion. Because they say you find that they have been able to work throughout the 4 weeks, pushing and doing submitting activities, and then in the end they don't get a certificate. So they were thinking whether that possibility can come. There is also one scenario, I think, in the discussion group or DFM discussion group, where one participant from Nigeria is also having the same case. I think he participated, but he thinks that would be a credit for him.
Yeah, so yes, I can I'll give a short answer to this. Yes, it is now possible for people to appear for exam anywhere in the world, because in last December NPTEL tried the internet based proctored exam for people outside India, and around 340 people were there, and I think 290 came in and wrote the exam, and it was successfully completed. So we are actually planning to do one more internet based proctoring exam this time around in the same methodology. What would be really good, Lucian, is if in Tanzania, if there is a local college or a university which can provide an examination place for them, and where the students can come either with their laptop, or there are systems over there. So if this could be done, then that will be the best way of doing it. We have mechanisms like that happening in Dubai. I mean, United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Sharjah, and Abu Dhabi. We have students who come to a particular test center. A formal MOU has been done with the test center by NPTEL team, and the test center provides the basic amenities like Wi-Fi, connectivity, and the essentials like water and all those things, a power supply, all those things. If something like this can be done, then we can actually think of internet based exam at wherever the person is. Yeah, and for Africa, there is actually an initiative called iLearn. It's under ilearn.gov.in. This is also a Ministry of External Affairs where they support scholarship for African students, not just for Swayam courses, but taking any degree course in India, online degree course in India. So currently there are 17 signatories of 17 African countries who are there in the partnership. I think Tanzania is not there currently, but it is also soon it will come, is what I am being told. So this also is one more route that you can take for attempting either the Swayam exams or any certificate examination from India.
Okay, thank you so much for the details.
Lucian, how about we take one question from YouTube? There's a question a little while ago on learning basic presentation skills when we are creating LEDs and videos for MOOCs. how can we do that? Now, I do remember that one of our course instructors, Dr. Samir Sasripade, has created learning dialogues exactly on this. And I don't believe they are part of the main curriculum, so to say, of this current NPTEL MOOC. But what we can do is we can do two things. One is, right now, I will again ask Gaurav or Jatin specifically. We can put a link to those particular videos and LEDs. And secondly, we can also post it on the discussion forum of this LCM course. So Gaurav or Jatin, if you're hearing this, please do two things. Not just put the link to the OTeach course that I had mentioned earlier, the broad OTeach course, the sites.google.com, and specifically under create your own materials. If you scroll down, you will see that Samir's two presentation skills are uploaded there. So just find those, and if you can share the link, please. Okay, back to you, Lucian.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So another question is question number 5. So he says, how to adapt an interesting methodology for self-paced recorded sessions, and how to ensure that we are making them understand the topic as mostly there isn't any interaction. I'm not sure whether I got it right, but probably if you could be able to get it, you can explain it more.
Yeah, so I think the answer to the question is this course, right, in NPTEL on Learner-Centric MOOC. So to make self-recorded sessions interesting, you need to have pauses, reflection spots. You need to have, after the LEDs are over, which are short instructional content, after they're over, you need to have LBDs, which will make them reflect further and assimilate their learning. And then the feedback that you give, because it's online, you have to give it it's a constructive feedback that you have to give, not only why the answer is correct, but also you have to explain why the other options are wrong. So that if there is a student who had given the wrong answer, they gave the opportunity to do a self-correction. Where did I go wrong and why did I go wrong? So that's also important. These are all bringing in interaction. Then you have extra materials for reading and have assimilation quizzes to close the learning loop, which is another element of the LCM model. Plus, of course, in online, you have the forum discussion where you need to have good orchestration practices, which you are going to learn about in subsequent weeks as part of the LXI component of the LCM model. So I think that the entire question, you're going to get all these answers from this very course.
Yeah, no, that's it. So the 4 elements plus the orchestration element of the LCM model, one by one, actually addresses the various parts of your question. The interesting methodology is the LCM model. And like Gargi said, the last word you've said about interaction, there is interaction through LXIs, learner experience interaction. The LXTs, because they're designed to cater to diverse audiences, in a way we are catering to the interestingness or what could be potentially interesting to the variety of participants. Lucian, you want to add anything to this, or anybody else from the discussion forums? What do you think makes an interesting online course?
I think everything has been covered. So, okay, another question is, I think this goes to JK. So can you please say something about the written exam that is going to happen at the end of the course?
Yeah, see the pattern, you don't have to worry about the pattern. If you are aware of the learner-centric principles, it will be straightforward. It is multiple choice. That's the maximum that I can divulge at this point. You don't have to worry about the pattern or anything. If you do really understand the learner-centric concepts and you are sufficiently sensitized, it will be an easy exam for all of you.
I'll actually give one more hint on top, which JK is, more than what JK said. It will be similar to your knowledge quizzes, the nature of the questions. Of course, it will be longer and more elaborate and all, but the nature is exactly that. I'm sure JK won't mind that I gave away this answer.
Yeah. That is fine. Yeah, that is fine. So it is something similar to knowledge quizzes, but yeah, of course, there will be something more also to test your understanding. That's all.
So I think
the second part of the question, it is already there as part of LXT, right? Video editing tools or software.
I think we can also be able. I think we can also be able to add some more resources on videos as well.
Video editing, the straightforward thing that comes to me is Camtasia, which is, but it is not a open software. Video editing, there is something called OpenShot, which is actually OpenShot, which is actually a video editing tool completely. Then, if you are really the technical guy who wants to understand the finer aspects, wants a very professional definition, then DaVinci Resolve. So DaVinci as in Leonardo da Vinci, there's something called DaVinci Resolve. But the learning curve for DaVinci Resolve is very steep, so you need to do a lot more, but there is a good community that supports it. But OpenShot and DaVinci Resolve, both these will help you in video editing.
All right, thank you. I think we can also be able to add some more resources as we keep on moving in the discussion. So we go to the last slide. Here are two questions. One question is this FDP for its duration equivalent to 5 days or 10 days, FDP face-to-face? So maybe the conversion, JK, you must be knowledgeable here. Can you shed some light?
It is essentially the 4 weeks as per, if you are from an AICTE affiliated college, it will be equivalent to a half FDP of 1 week duration. So it is not a full FDP, it is half FDP. For more details, please go to nptel.ac.in/AICTE_FDP, or just Google for AICTE FDP NPTEL. These 3 terms will actually give you that page where the MOU is very clearly given.
All right, thank you. So the last question from the shared survey is Dr. Gaulang Kumar wants to get some input on how to use discussion forum in learning. I think we have covered most of the part, but if there is any response to add, we can add up on this. This is the last question from the shared survey.
I just want to say you learn a lot about this in the week when we do LXI. But
participating in the discussion forum, so I interpreted this question a bit differently. So the way I interpreted this question was that how can I use the discussion forum for my own learning? So that's also very important. And if there are people here who hasn't yet gone to the forum, I would really request them to go, because a lot of learning really happens in MOOCs in the discussion forums. When you go there, read through the threads, the topics that are being discussed, participate in the topics. You are going to get a lot of knowledge from the discussion happening there with your peers. And we have a very active group of discussion forum moderators. And you will see it's very useful, and extension of learning will happen if you go to the forum. And especially on that question of, the exam question, if you really go to the forum, you will be well equipped to score very well in your exams. So, yeah. Samir or JK, you want to add?
No, I think we have pretty well covered it. I mean, so we are actually using it for a lot of learning, even in the current course. Samir, anything more to add?
Yeah.
Looks like Samir's connectivity is having an issue. While we are waiting for Samir, is it okay if we take another question in the meantime?
Yeah, let's actually take one that's on YouTube. Okay, Lucian, shall we just take one from YouTube to intersperse? We can see a big screen in front of us. That's the other thing. It says that, how this is from Vidyasagar Kumar from Pune. How can we add more live lectures and change assessment techniques midway during the course? Is there any option to change the assessment tools and techniques after launching? What can we do if the participants got sick, and so on? So again, this very much depends on, how much you are in control of the infrastructure and logistics of the course. If it's your own online course that you are running, let's say using a combination of YouTube for videos and a Google Classroom, for example, it's basically the policy and the infrastructure. If you are in control of it, then you can do all of it. If it's a formal MOOC, as part of either SWAYAM or the CEC that they mentioned, then we have to follow the guidelines set by that organization. What we do is we do know that sometimes participants do fall sick. So often we have additional assignments built in. We say that best 3 out of 4. I believe NPTEL also something like that is their best N out of M are taken for the final grading. You can use techniques like that. Lucian, back to you.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So this is the question from discussion forum. So there have been a lot of questions coming from the discussion forum, and the DFMs have done a very good job responding to all the questions. But this one is one of the questions that had a lot of responses. So it says, I think reflection sport is much beneficial in offline teaching in the classroom, in live teaching, but less beneficial in pre-recorded videos. For example, in this course, I have watched pre-recorded video, LED 1.2.1. What's an LED? I have seen the reflection spot by pausing the video. One question is asked. I'm going through the question and write down the answers. Now, my question is, how instructor was known whether, how has the instructor known whether all the learners are going through this reflection spot or not? So probably you can share some light on how this happens. Thank you. Welcome.
So I think there are some tools which do capture and tells you how many students have answered your reflection spots. But other than that, if you don't have such, for example, in this NPTEL course, I would say that if I am an instructor, I would give at least some LBD questions mapped to the reflection spot and see if they're able to answer it. That would give me a clear indication of if they have done it or not. Or an extension of that can be posted as a focus question to discuss in discussion forum.
Yeah, so let me take this question from a different angle, okay? The thing is, the goal of the reflection spot is actually, the primary goal is not for the instructor to know who has answered in what way and all. The primary goal is to get the learner engaged in the content by making them think or making them pause and answer a question. Now, the reflection spot is not, from the instructor's perspective, when we are designing the learning dialogue, it's not just the reflection spot question which is important. Equally important is the closure of the reflection spot, the slide right after that. So in how to create a reflection spot in that LED, you would have seen that there's a lot of time spent by the instructor who says what to do after posing the reflection spot question. And here your classroom experience becomes important, because based on your classroom experience, you will have a good idea of, what are, say, the common types of answers you might receive, or what are some common errors students might make, what are some common gaps that might be there. And even if you don't know who has answered it which way, these are likely going to be there. So what you can do to close the reflection spot when you're recording, when you're actually creating your LED, is to think about some of these common gaps and common themes, and you just give a summary, assuming that somebody would have answered at least, according to those themes. So what I would suggest for this question is to go and revisit how to create a reflection spot LED and see what is recommended for the instructor, for the MOOC, for the LED creator to do after the reflection spot question. And then, of course, what Gargi said is absolutely valid. The next thing you want to think of is the LBD activities that come after every LED. Lucien, we can go ahead. It's 5:32. Yeah, we can go ahead and then.
So that's all we had. That's all we had. So, ma'am, that's all we had from the discussion forum, again from the shared survey. So maybe if there are questions from the live chat, we can be able to take them for the next maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can close since maybe the time is almost over.
Madam, there is one issue with many learners that I would like to highlight over here. And that issue is that they are trying to join, they have joined the course through their G Suite email ID, and they are not able to participate in the discussion forum through their G Suite email ID. So we'll soon be posting the link for that settings, how to change the settings and how to allow, but that is on the level of your G Suite admin, which is mostly one per institute. So it is not in the reach of many faculties. So we would suggest that you can join through your personal email ID in the discussion forum so that you do not miss out on the learning that is happening. Many of the faculties have done so, and they are able to later on they are able to connect with us on discussion forum. So those who have joined through their institute G Suite Gmail ID, they can use their personal email ID so that they don't miss out on the discussion forum learning. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jatin.
So you can go ahead with checking the questions in the live chat if there are any.
Yeah, we are checking. I think we have answered many of the questions, plus our discussion forum moderators are also very active. They have been answering those questions there also. So right now, I don't see any more questions.
Let's just very quickly scroll through. Okay, we were monitoring it, but in case there okay, I think you're good, Lucien.
Okay.
So I think we are done, right? Lucien, you're muted. Yeah, now you're fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we are done with the questions from the discussion from the shared survey, and that's all we had for today. So we don't have more to say. We thank you for being there, for participating in the forum, participating in the course itself. So we hope to see you again in the next live interaction that is going to happen on February 12th. So likewise, we have also a time where we have to share, share survey for you to share the questions. Please do respond and share your questions accordingly. What I could be able to insist now is to make sure that you are submitting all the activities. Remember, the deadlines for week 1 quizzes is on February 3rd, and you also have week 2 quizzes coming up. So make sure that you are submitting all the activities on time. At the same time, we are insisting on keep the discussions happening in the discussion forum. We might not have been able to cover all your questions, but you can post your questions in the discussion forum. We will be able to respond to the questions immediately as soon as we see them. So thank you from all of us as TAs and DFM moderators, and thank you from the course instructors. Maybe Sanamam, would you like to close?
That's good. I'm happy. We had a lively, short but lively chat. This was nice.
Yeah. Thanks everyone on this call. It was a nice chat.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye everyone. Bye.
Yes, Sandeep, we can end. Thank you.